I'm done with you, Ashley. I want a divorce today. Get out of the house with our daughter. As soon as my husband, Jason, returned from his assignment alone, he slammed a divorce application on the table and started shouting about a divorce. He was always cold to both me and our daughter. I really have no regrets. So, it would be quicker if they just took their belongings and left. But my oblivious husband is trying to throw us out. Hey, Ashley. Are you listening? Why don't you start packing your stuff? This is why I hate housewives, they are so lazy. Hannah, you too. At that time, I was on the phone. But I frowned in disgust as Jason insulted our daughter, Hannah, too. I put down my smartphone on the table and looked at my daughter. I guess she was thinking the same thing, because the moment our eyes met, we both burst out laughing. Huh? You don't know anything, do you? It's actually Dad who needs to leave, you know? Huh? What are you talking about? This house belongs to my dad, and I will inherit it eventually. It's practically mine. You two are the ones who need to leave. Really, you understand nothing. Jason was smugly sitting back, but he was the one who didn't understand. We knew everything. Prepare yourself, because we're going to reveal it all one by one. In front of my confident husband, I presented a piece of paper. Huh? What's this? You think a piece of paper can change my mind? Jason cut himself off mid-sentence, his eyes widening in shock. The document I had presented was a registry from an investing firm. His hands trembling, Jason pointed at the paper and asked, "What is this?" It says here Ashley is adopted by my father? You're joking, right? Must be some mistake. Sorry to break it to you while you're in denial, but it's unfortunate for you. I and your father have gone through an adoption process. Your father is a very kind man, isn't he? He felt sorry for us and even told me he intended to leave the house to me. Impossible. That can't be right. This must be a fake document. You must have gone to great lengths to deceive me. Jason approached me furiously, spitting as he spoke. My daughter and I instinctively stepped back a few paces. Why would I need to commit such a crime? It would involve forging an official document just to deceive you? Then why say such bizarre things? My father would never secretly leave you his inheritance without telling me. Because I love my father. And he loves me just as much, no, even more. There can't be an adoption. Love can be fleeting. Just like the love between us as a couple is ending right now. No one knows what tomorrow may bring. Shut up. This is the first time I've ever brought up a divorce with you. But adoption isn't something that just happens overnight. This is clearly nonsense. Don't think I'll be fooled. At this point, Jason was visibly agitated, unable to listen to reason. Then, I took out another piece of paper and laid it on the table. Huh? A divorce application? What about it? Wait, there are two. Jason curiously compared the divorce application he had prepared with the one I just handed him. Then, he finally noticed the difference. The one I had taken out had my section already filled in. Jason, raising his head, looked utterly perplexed. It's not that surprising, is it? I was planning to divorce you long before you mentioned it. Why? You have no reason to divorce me. At this point, our daughter couldn't help but laugh. It's hilarious. The very person who created the reason for divorce doesn't understand what it means. Hannah, what do you mean? Well, Dad has a mistress and a secret child, right? Divorce is the only option. Mom has known about it for a long time. What? Jason's mouth gaped open like a fish for a moment. But he quickly composed himself and put on a thin smile, shaking his head calmly. Hannah, what are you suddenly talking about? Me, having an affair? And a child with someone else? Such dramatic things don't happen in real life. But you are actually having an affair. We know everything. It's like a soap opera. Enough. If you insist I've had an affair, then show me proof. There won't be any, because I haven't done anything wrong. Dealing with his just teenage daughter, Jason aggressively pressed on. Exasperated, I sighed, and stepped forward to protect my daughter. Hannah and I have visited your place during your assignment several times. But indeed, no such evidence was found. You're excessively clean, almost obsessively so. The house always looked spotless, as if you tidied it up just in case we'd visit. Hey, hold on. Why do you speak as if my cheating is a given? It's irritating how you suspect me without any proof. Jason was visibly agitated, fidgeting nervously. However, neither my daughter nor I were intimidated. We had endured enough over the years. Today was the day to settle everything once and for all. With this strong resolve, I stared down Jason. Proof, you keep nagging about it like a broken record. Don't worry, it'll come out soon enough. There's a sequence to how things are revealed. What do you mean? It turns out you really like architecture, don't you? You know how some people buy books, one to read and one to keep? I never thought there'd be someone who rents 2 houses. Jason's frown turned to surprise as his face transformed in an instant. I continued without hesitation. One was for camouflage, right? A room where we could come and go without finding any evidence. Are you living with your mistress and secret child in the other house? It must have been expensive, but I think it was cleverly planned. What are you talking about? There's no way something out of a novel could happen. I'm always amazed by Ashley's imagination. That's enough with the fake act. I've already investigated the other house. I found lots of the evidence you love so much. It might take some time to lay it all out. There's so much that I might need to use not just this table, but the floor as well. Wait. Okay, I get it. Tell me how you figured out about the camouflage house. My plan was perfect. Nothing came out of the camouflage house, right? You shouldn't have even realized there was another house. Jason, conceding, asked an obvious question with his eyebrows furrowed in frustration. Sweat dotted his forehead, a sign of his inner panic. Don't ask me. It was Hannah who started saying you might be renting 2 houses at your assignment location. As I said this, Jason turned to our daughter with a surprised look. Hannah just shrugged, as if it was nothing. Dad, do you know what my favorite genre of books is? What? Out of the blue like this. Of course you don't know. You've never cared about us. I like mystery novels, especially this one. Hannah pulled out a mystery novel she enjoyed reading. Jason's cheeks twitched slightly. He too was a fan of mystery novels. The book Hannah took out was a bestseller, well known among mystery enthusiasts. Jason's eyes darted around, his unease was obvious. Hannah continued, unfazed. There's a trick in here just like the one Dad used. That's how I figured maybe Dad rented 2 houses like in this book. Realizing the truth, Jason's mouth hung open. He must have gotten the idea from reading this book. He sank to his knees, defeated. Seeing his shock, I felt no sympathy. Instead, I thought, now's the time to strike. With him weakened, my words would likely have an impact. I decided to confront him with reality once more. Let's get this straight. You cheated while having a wife and child. I will never forgive you, so I'm filing for divorce. I'll also demand compensation and child support. It's my right as the one cheated on. And since your father will leave this house to me, you need to move out. I said everything in one breath, and suddenly felt a weight lift off my shoulders. I must have been tense ever since I found out about the affair. I finally had the chance to retaliate, and my tension eased without realizing. However, Jason started laughing suddenly. It began softly but grew louder until it filled the room. Wow, I'm surprised. I thought you were just a housewife who couldn't do anything besides housework. But you've done quite the groundwork. Honestly, I feel outplayed. What? Why are you laughing so comfortably? Do you really understand how awful what you've done is? Huh? Why are you acting like a tragic heroine? Sure, I cheated. I admit that. But what of it? I just fell in love with my soulmate. What? Jason, with his hands raised to the sky and a blissful expression, made both me and my daughter cringe. He continued to speak about things no one asked him about, oblivious to our dismay. My beloved honey's name is Kelly. Elegant, isn't it? Jason winked at us as if seeking agreement. In that instant, goosebumps covered me and my daughter. He continued to gaze dreamily as he narrated his whirlwind romance with his mistress. Our meeting was a complete coincidence. One rainy day on the way home, I took shelter under a park's roof. That's where Kelly came from. The moment our eyes met, we fell in love. We talked and understood each other, and loved each other until the rain stopped. In a park on a rainy day? Hannah interjected, and I hurriedly stopped her. Though it was an absurd story, interrupting him might only excite him further. There was nothing left to do but let his words pass from one ear out the other. We continued to meet regularly after that fateful rainy day. Kelly is a corporate president's daughter. The odds of meeting and falling in love with such a lady, and both of us reciprocating that love, were all miraculous. I proposed to her immediately. Money is important, right? But Kelly is very serious. No, you have a loving wife, she would say adorably. A truly serious person wouldn't cheat. His head is just full of fantasies. My daughter and I whispered to each other. Meanwhile, Jason, looking off into the distance, continued his grand love story. I've decided. I'll divorce Ashley and start a new life with Kelly. So Ashley, Hannah, for the happiness of me and Kelly, please leave my life. Finally, Jason turned to us and pointed decisively. He probably thought he looked impressive, but to us, his serious face was just comical. Now that Jason had freely spoken his piece, it was our turn to speak. You've been talking at length about your love for Kelly, but remember, we also pledged our love and got married, didn't we? Yet you never cared for me. I loved my job and wanted to keep working even after marriage, but after Hannah was born, you insisted I become a housewife, didn't you? I had worked at a publishing house before our marriage, was recognized for my efforts, firmly planning to continue my career. However, Jason wouldn't allow it, and once I became a housewife, he began to scorn me as a parasite and shut-in. Frustrated that I had quit my job at his insistence, my feelings grew even colder. Moreover, Jason neglected even Hannah. It wasn't just a lack of care, it was as if he had no interest in his own daughter. To top it off, he wanted to abandon his role as a parent and run off with his mistress. That's unforgivable. I will definitely get my revenge. Mom, you're getting this upset for me? My daughter gripped my hand tightly. I squeezed back just as firmly. Our mother-daughter bond will not be defeated by anyone. I glared at Jason in a threatening manner. He glared back defiantly. Hannah was on my side, standing with me, but Jason showed no signs of being unsettled. It's clear you were cheating, yet instead of showing any remorse, you're completely defiant. I'm more convinced than ever that my decision to divorce you was the right one. When I think about it calmly, I realize there's no need to hide my relationship with Kelly. After all, ours is a true love. It's something I should be proud of. I had no idea you were capable of such twisted thinking. If only I had realized this sooner. The one who's twisted is you, for lying about being adopted by my loving father. I will never believe that. Right? I have always been devoted to my father, and you know it. I nodded honestly when he turned the conversation to me. Yes, that's true. I was indeed impressed by your devoted attitude towards your father when we first got married. It made me feel like I should be kinder to my own parents too. Exactly. There's no son more dutiful than me. My mother passed away early, so it has always been just the two of us supporting each other. The bond we've developed over time is genuine. That's why there's no way my father would adopt someone else without telling me. Jason stated this emphatically. Even Hannah didn't dispute it. His care for his father-in-law had indeed been that dedicated. I clapped along with the heated atmosphere. That's wonderful. Nowadays, it's rare to find someone who speaks so passionately about their parents. Impressive. Really? I don't mind being praised like that. Ha! Ha! I'm glad you understand, Ashley. Yes, I fully understand your side. But it's important to hear both sides in any situation, right? So, let's hear what your father has to say. Huh? What are you talking about? Ignoring Jason's genuine query, I turned towards the smartphone I had placed nearby. Father, can you hear me? I can hear you. Suddenly hearing his father's voice, Jason nearly fell off his chair in utter shock. Dad? Huh, what? His voice cracked as he panicked, which was so amusing that I burst out laughing. Hannah was also shaking with suppressed giggles. Isn't it funny, Jason? Don't you remember? When you came home today and slammed down the divorce papers, I was on the phone, right? I was talking to your father. Sure, I saw you with the phone to your ear, but you put it down right away, didn't you? Why does his voice come through immediately when you call out now? Dad, do you really not understand? You brag about loving mystery novels. But you can't solve even this simple riddle? You're nowhere near understanding detective work. What the? You're both making fun of me. Just tell me already. I'm humbling myself by asking. Jason was stomping his feet while shouting. How this showed any humility was beyond me, and I'd love for someone to explain it to me. But since speaking out would only infuriate him further, I silently gave him the answer he was seeking. The thing is, I never pressed the end call button at that time. Instead, I hit the speaker button and just left the phone on the table. I thought explaining this clearly would satisfy him, but unfortunately, Jason just froze, his eyes wide. He must have realized the gravity of what he had done. He awkwardly moved his mouth, trying to form a question. Does that mean everything I've said since I got back has been heard by Dad? Correct, absolutely correct. Well done. Dad, way to show your true colors. This is hilarious. I wish I'd recorded a video. My daughter and I showered him with mock praise, and Jason stood agape, unable to move. Sensing the atmosphere, my father-in-law spoke up. Jason, I can't see you. But I'm sure you're bewildered now that your true nature has been exposed. But rest assured. Everyone makes mistakes, and people are quite sensitive to betrayal. I was the first to realize what kind of person you really are, not Ashley, not Hannah, but me. Dad, what did you just say? What kind of person I am? The despicable man who tries to kick out his wife and daughter, right? You've been pretending to be devoted to deceiving me, haven't you?
Ah.
Whether he couldn't accept reality or not, he suddenly screamed and clutched his head. He stood up so forcefully that his chair tipped over, scratching the beautiful flooring. Wait. There's been a misunderstanding. Dad is mistaken. What exactly am I mistaken about? I was only vaguely aware of your true nature. But now you've neglected your family and cheated, haven't you? You even admitted it yourself. Your true nature is now clearly established. No. That's true, but it's not. I cheated, but I didn't. His argument was utterly incoherent. The shock of being found out by his father must have been too much. And soon, the reason he had wanted to deceive his father became clear. As you know, I don't have long left. That's why I need to consider how to distribute my estate. Then, all of your misdeeds began to come to light. A person with bad conduct shouldn't benefit, right? That's why I decided to adopt Ashley as my daughter and disinherit you. Disinheritance? Disinheritance is a legal process that allows someone with a right to an estate to be excluded from it. It's a recourse when you don't want to leave your property to a particular person after you're gone. Of course, certain conditions must be met to disinherit someone. One such condition is notable misconduct. This time, Jason had cheated and even fathered a secret child. This was recognized as significant misconduct. Jason, having previously charmed his father-in-law solely for inheritance, was now in a state of shock upon realizing that everything was exposed. My father-in-law continued to scold him thoroughly. Do you understand how foolish you've been as a person? To demean and hurt the person you vowed eternal love to. That's unimaginable for a husband. And as for Hannah, she is your own child. How can you treat her so coldly? Have you ever considered how you would feel if I had treated you the same way? As we listened to his words, tears naturally began to flow from both me and my daughter. My father-in-law was speaking to Jason, but his compassion for us was evident throughout the conversation. I had never thought that having someone genuinely angry on my behalf could feel so gratifying. After my father-in-law finished his tirade, the living room was enveloped in silence. Jason hung his head in silence. Could it be that he was truly reflecting this time? I had no intention of calling off the divorce or reducing the compensation and child support. But hearing even a single apology would have been a relief for us. However, our faint hopes were once again shattered. I'm so turned off now. I'm appalled by my dad. To think he would reject his own son and accept someone else's wife. Does he have bugs in his brain? My daughter and I were shocked by the incredibly crude way Jason spoke to his father. My father-in-law was left speechless on the other end of the phone. Jason crossed his arms and legs arrogantly. No inheritance, huh? What was the meaning of all my filial efforts then? Give me back my time and money. His words were so appalling that I couldn't help but interrupt. Jason. How can you say such things to your father? Apologize now. Apologize? Who do you think you are talking to? I was just being honest as a son. It's annoying to deal with the elderly. They keep repeating the same stories. That doesn't mean you can say whatever you want. I was losing my temper, filled with gratitude for the care my father-in-law had always shown us. Jason smirked and looked at me. You've been painting me as the villain, acting like divorce is some kind of justice. But realistically, can a housewife with no particular merits raise Hannah? Aren't the educational expenses going to pile up as she prepares for university entrance exams? Oh, maybe you plan to have her work right after high school to bring in money. What a terrible mother, relying on her child like that. What did you say? I would never do such a thing, correct yourself. I'm just stating facts here. With no income, even custody is questionable. Well, I don't want the kid anyway. If you kneel and apologize, maybe I'll consider supporting you. Please bless me, Lord Jason.
Ha! Ha! Ha!
My anger flared up at his crude laughter. Then, my daughter pulled out a novel again and addressed her father. Dad, you really don't understand anything. Mom isn't an unemployed housewife. She wrote this novel, you know? What? Once again, Jason was taken aback. It was not the first time. But his shock was understandable. Indeed, I had achieved success as a novelist, now earning more than Jason. Most of the mystery novels that my daughter loved were written by me. Honestly, I hadn't expected to become so successful myself. No way, this is like a drama. You're telling me my supposedly income-less wife turned into a novelist. Can such a story even be real? Truth is stranger than fiction, isn't it? I've even been approached about adaptations for films and dramas. So my income is set to increase further. Oh, poor you. If we had stayed married, you would have benefited from this as well. Dad, it's so funny that you were drawn to a supposed president's daughter. And made a mistress, but it turns out your wife is wealthier. Dad, that's so lame. My daughter and I thoroughly defeated him with our words, and he trembled with anger. I decided to turn his own words against him. Should I offer you assistance if you apologize and kneel? Don't joke with me. I don't need your help. I'll do what I want. I was initially attracted by the money when I had an affair, but now I'm truly in love with Kelly. I won't let you interfere. Furious with Jason's defiance, my father-in-law spoke up once more over the phone. Enough is enough. Stop embarrassing your parents any further. If you don't back down now, you'll regret it for the rest of your life. Like your threats will work. Here, submit it. Do whatever you want with it. I'm leaving this house. Jason threw the divorce papers at me and stormed out of the house like a hurricane. A silence settled between us that remained for a while, but eventually, my father-in-law spoke up. I'm truly sorry for such a disgraceful son. Ashley and Hannah, I know he's put you through a lot. He will surely face his comeuppance one day. Father, please don't apologize. None of this is your fault. And as for Jason, he's already 1 foot in hell. So, don't worry. I replied cheerily, and my father-in-law simply said, "Thank you," and the mood was calm. 2 years after the divorce was finalized, my daughter and I were living peacefully. We could cook whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted, and if we were tired, we could skip chores without anyone to scold us. Everything was going well without Jason. Then one day, under a cloudy sky, symbolizing the uncertainty of the weather, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. The caller ID showed only a Jason. I honestly wanted to ignore it, but the continuous ringing was becoming a nuisance. I braced myself and answered the call. Hello? You finally picked up. Please, I need help. I was braced for complaints about the divorce. But it seemed my ex-husband was unusually distraught. I decided to hear him out. I was deceived by Kelly. She's not a president's daughter or anything. She was after the money all along. She even lied to get close to me because she was after my father's inheritance. Really? But instead of calling me, shouldn't you be confronting her directly? That's true, but I can't do it. She's got the gangs behind her. Instead of cornering her, I've ended up in their crosshairs. As I respond indifferently, my ex-husband clicks his tongue on the other end of the phone. What's with that indifferent response? Do you think this is someone else's problem? Because it clearly is someone else's problem. I'm not interested, we're not related anymore. Don't say that. I didn't know anything. If I had known, I wouldn't have divorced. It seems my ex-husband has started to sob. Over the phone, I can hear his pathetic whimpering. I'm sorry to ruin your tragic hero act, but I knew all about it. What? I thoroughly investigated your affairs. That's when I found out about the other dark rumors. Kelly, was it? She's been involved with several other men, you know? His tears disappear, replaced by a voice filled with anger. Why didn't you tell me? If I had known from the beginning, I never would have cheated. Why should I have to tell you anything? We're strangers now, aren't we? He falls silent for a moment at my words, then cries out in agony. I've been spending all my money on Kelly. I'm out of savings. Can you lend me some money? For old time's sake. Didn't you say you didn't need my help? Things have changed. You can understand that, right? Wait. I can still claim a share of the property even after the divorce, right? His voice suddenly livens up. But I, eager to end the call, quickly crush his hopes. Sorry to burst your bubble, but you have no right to claim any property. Maybe if you had apologized sooner, things wouldn't have come to this. What do you mean? What do I mean? The right to claim expires 2 years after the divorce. You should have gathered the necessary knowledge before rushing into divorce. That's impossible. I imagine him slumping his shoulders, unseen. I deliver the final blow to end it all. This is the punishment for hurting our beloved Hannah. You completely brought this upon yourself. Try to manage on your own. I end the call without waiting for his response. My ex-husband, now penniless from compensation and child support payments, faces a harsh reality. My father-in-law, of course, is furious and refuses to help, ensuring that my ex-husband continues his payments to me. My ex-husband will regret his greed and the affair for the rest of his life. As for me, my novels have been successfully adapted into movies and dramas, achieving great success. My income is stable, and my daughter has graduated from university. Thinking of it as a milestone, I decided to contact my father-in-law after a long time. Father, today Hannah has successfully graduated. We could only have come this far because you stood by me that day. Thank you so much. It feels good to be thanked. I'm glad Hannah graduated safely. Congratulations. She has been as much a support to you as you have been to her. She deserves thanks too. We have a pleasant conversation throughout. Time passes, and now my daughter works at a publishing house while supporting me in my career. Being able to make the decision to divorce was also thanks to her. I plan to make family the theme of my next novel. Having overcome various challenges, it's a genre I am confident in. Reflecting on the past, I cherish the importance of family and sit down at my desk again today.